Myles Garrett to DC Mania is now officially underway. Super Bowl Media Radio Row. Myles Garrett is politicking. He's standing on business about his trade request, and he sounds very, very warm to the idea of playing for the Washington Commanders. Let's talk about it. What's going on, Washington Commanders Nation? It's your boy Rio Robinson back with the latest and greatest on the Ramblin' with Rio YouTube channel, where we ramble about the Washington Commanders. It is February 5th. It is Wednesday. We are a few days away from the Super Bowl. Our quarterback is politicking and moving around Radio Row, being treated like NFL royalty right now. We will talk about some of the things Jayden Daniels has been talking about on Radio Row, but stop the presses, because a trade at someone who just requested a trade a couple days ago, one of the best players in the league, is being asked about the Washington Commanders a lot. Everyone's throwing the Magic Johnson assist. Everyone's throwing the lob up for Washington. They want to see him here. Of course, they're asking him about other teams as well. But speaking specifically, Sports Illustrated and Mina Kimes got right to the shits with Myles Garrett. I don't know who this is interviewing him for Sports Illustrated, but shout out to bro, word to Jenky Rondo. And he asked him straight up, so Myles, you want to play for the Washington Commanders? Like, hey, he doing God's work. He is doing God's work because no one made him do that. He got right to it. Maybe he's a Washington fan. He said, do you want to play for the Washington Commanders? I'd show you the clip, but I'm not playing monetization, copyright games with the NFL, Sports Illustrated, or none of the above right now. So I'm just going to have to paraphrase what Myles Garrett said. He started laughing, big smile on his face, and he started flirting with the franchise. And he started talking about how open he would be to play for a team like us, you know, with a budding young quarterback. He said, oh, they do need an edge rusher over there. They could use one of those. He speaks highly on Dan Quinn. He tells Mina Kimes specifically, because she asked him, would you mind playing for a young ascending star like Jayden Daniels? And he said, that guy is really good at football. He said, I watched what he did when we played Washington this year, and he said that boy showed his tail in the playoffs, and he's looking like one of the ascending quarterbacks in this league. Once again, smiley, super flirty, super open to the concept of playing for the Washington Commanders. I understand there's a bit of politicking and political correctness that's going to happen here. You saw how professional his trade request was. Put that shit like he dipped the feather and got the quill out, got the ink, put it in bold print. I will be formally requesting a trade from the Cleveland Browns. He said all the niceties and pleasantries to start off his trade request, and then he got to the business. And he's being asked about a lot of teams, but we're not here to talk about a lot of teams. I see a spark in his eye. I see a glimmer. I see optimism, and I see a guy that is very open. I guarantee we're on his short list. I guarantee. He pretty much went into another explanation about any team that's in the playoffs, contending for a Super Bowl, or in the Super Bowl is going to have a good quarterback. And he said, I mean, there are some teams with a good enough defense that a game-managing guy can get it done, but good teams have good quarterbacks, and he sounds very interested to play for a team with a good quarterback. And he speaks very highly of our young buck, young ascending superstar, Jayden Daniels. Matter of fact, F it. I'll let this one rip.
Yeah, I think the Commanders is definitely amongst one of them. Mm-hmm. I think they need a pass rusher. I think that's something that they dearly miss. They're in the playoffs and some of the big games, and I feel like I can fill that role, but. No, that's a role that multiple teams need.
Smile.
I feel like not only a pass rusher, but I think I'm the best defensive player in the game, and 100%. I feel like that's invaluable in itself.
Talk that shit.
I thought about the squads that could
talk that shit. I'm gonna stop you right there, champ. I don't want to hear nothing about anybody else. I'm gonna stop you right there, champ. I need to hear nothing more from you, my good sir. Myles Garrett, when asked about playing for the Washington Commanders. There's a Mina Kimes clip in here as well. Also, Jayden is doing the full circuit, the full Radio Row treatment right now. I'm loving it, man. I'm loving what we got going on right now. I'm loving what we got going on. Our team got so much motion. I love to see it. Let me find the Mina Kimes clip. Mina Kimes, here we go.
It's been the issue in Cleveland. When you look ahead again to like potential spots, is that something that's important to you, joining a team where the quarterback is set and ready to compete?
Throw that oop for us,
any
Mina.
Playoff team or any
Throw that oop for us,
Mina.
Mina.
Have a quarterback, a good quarterback.
He believes now.
You've seen some game managers, go out there with a great defense and win it all. But if you want to consistently be at the top, you got to have a really good quarterback.
There's the obvious, the guys in the Super Bowl, your Josh Allens, your Lamar. They're obviously not going to trade you the Ravens, but what about like a youngster like Jayden Daniels, like an up and coming star? Could that appeal to you at all?
Absolutely. Yep. I mean, he looked great. I mean, he looked great when we played him, but he really showed us behind when he was in the playoffs, and he's really done it and been very composed throughout the entire season. He can only continue to flourish if he keeps his head down and continues to work.
We love it. Thank you, Mina Kimes, for doing the Lord's work. I don't know what possessed you to do so, but we are very appreciative of your services. Thank you so much. Jayden counted down his favorite 5 plays of the season when on Scoop City with Diana Rossini and Chase Daniel. His number 1 was the 3rd down game sealer to McLaurin in Cincinnati on Monday Night Football. Number 2, the game winner to Crowder versus the Eagles. Number 3, the Hail Mary, obviously. 4th and 2 versus the Tampa Scramble. And the deep pass to De'Ami Brown versus the Lions. But man, oh man, let's not bury the lead, though. Jayden, we're going to get to all of your movements. I watched every interview that boy had on Radio Row today. He was on with Shannon and them. He was on with Shannon and Ocho. He was on with all these folks. But right now, we're talking about this fella. We're talking about this fella here. Myles motherfucking Garrett. That boy spoke on it. He said, I'm the best at what I do in the business. And he is that. That is a man who can play the run very well. That is a man who pass rushes. If he's not the best in the league, he's number 2, or there's a 1A, 1B between him and TJ Watt. There's a man who has not had less than 10 sacks since his rookie season, and that rookie season started with 7.5 sacks. That is a man with 102.5 sacks, and he's not 30 years old yet. He just turned 29 years old. If you're going to put your cards in and go get a player, you go get a player like this. You go get someone that offensive coordinators are going to have nightmares about game planning around. We don't have one of those on the defense right now. The closest that we have to it is Frankie Louvu. And Frankie Louvu's a dog, second team All-Pro for a reason. But there are levels to this shit. And Myles Garrett, we've never in the franchise's history had a defensive end this good. And yes, I respect the pass rushers that have played for this team, the Charles Manns, the Dexter Manleys, and the Ryan Kerrigans that we've seen here, and the glimpses of other guys that just didn't end up panning out in the long term. This here is different. You know how it looks when our quarterback is out here taking this average-ass roster to NFC Championship. Imagine getting a equivalently great player on the defensive side of the ball. Imagine having a top 5 quarterback and a top 2 defensive player in this league. What fucking world would we be living in? We have one priority over these next 3 seasons, is to keep the window open and maximize the rookie contract of Jayden Daniels before we have to pay him $1 billion. Because as this cap keeps going up, it feels like that boy's contract may be $1 billion. He's going to be worth every penny when we get to it. Our window is now open. We were 1 game away from the Super Bowl despite missing many ingredients. Do not let your division rival and Super Bowl probably favorite Philadelphia Eagles go win a championship and then go grab a Myles Garrett on top of that. Can't have it. Do not let the Detroit Lions get their find their light again, find their spark again, and throw Myles Garrett across from Aiden Hutchinson. No, go get him. We are definitely on the short list. I was confirmed of that today. He's obviously going to speak positives about multiple teams, but you can tell beyond the political correctness and composure and things he's supposed to say, you can tell if a guy's not interested in playing for a team. You could tell if we were not his bag. If Dan Snyder and Ron Rivera and company was here, I don't think we would get the same type of reverence that I hear him speaking on our franchise. We are now a destination. We are a destination. Players want to be a part of this. He spoke on the environment and ecosystem that Washington has put around Jayden, and he spoke on the leaders that we have here. And he knows he's a leader. He's a baller on and off the field, and he's a vocal ass leader. He got rah-rah in him. He's definitely a rah-rah type of guy. He's not a stoic, don't say anything type of guy. On the field, Myles Garrett is very vocal. I think he would fit right in here. And Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr., we could really see what Joe Witt Jr. can do once we start getting him some pieces like that. Love what Dante Fowler Jr. did this year. Love the solid work we got out of Dorrance Armstrong. But I remind you again that there are levels to this shit. And Myles Garrett is at the tippy top of those levels. Down year with the Browns, 14 sacks, some slight. Year before, 14 sacks, 16 sacks, 16 sacks, 13 sacks, 12 and a half. But this is what he does. It's more than just numbers, too, because some guys, they put up numbers, but the eye test is bad. This guy has a relentless motor, and he's still playing football like the Rents do, like he hasn't been paid more than one time over in this league so far. So what? You got to touch his contract up a little bit and pay him some more. Myles Garrett shouldn't be out there making Marshawn Lattimore money in 2025. So whatever team that agrees to trade for him is going to have to touch up and rework his contract a little bit. And for those saying, no way the Browns are going to trade they're going to trade him. They're going to. He pinned that shit like the Declaration of Independence. That is as professional and I need to get the fuck out of here I've ever seen. He didn't go the whole route. He didn't scrub his social medias or do anything like that. He put it in wax. He made sure the whole world got it. He clearly had a conversation with the organization, and he's standing 10 toes on business at Radio Row in New Orleans, telling every person with a microphone, I'm getting out of here. And this is what I'm looking for in a possible trade suitor. I believe he has a no trade clause. I believe he can dictate the terms of the agreement. So I imagine like the Deshaun Watson situation, he's going to give them a short list of teams that he wants to go to. And the teams, Haslam and Barry, are going to eventually have to play ball. They don't want to hear it because he's the best player on their roster. I'm sorry. When you go give the massage man a fully guaranteed contract and he absolutely wrecks your team that was a playoff team before he got there and recently, that's on y'all. The Browns, as shit as my organization has been, the Browns are as shit as they come. As shit as organization as they come. So they're going to have to swallow their pride, grit and bear it, and they're going to have to deal Myles Garrett at some point this offseason. So get what you can for him and tell your guys to call our guys because Adam Peters is going to be on the phone and Adam Peters is going to be in the mix on this. He told us we will always monitor and be in the mix on situations like these. I imagine when the best pass rusher in the entire NFL, who's under 30 years old, wants to be moved, Adam Peters, Lance Newmark, and company will be in on it. And you heard Josh Harris at the podium the other day say, as the owner, they have free reign and autonomy to go make whatever moves they make or feel they need to take us to the next level. Because what did Josh say the other day? We've arrived. We've arrived. Get used to it, y'all. Kick your feet up for a little bit. Pull a stogie out. This is our lives now. This is normalcy going forward, and people want to play for the Washington Commanders. I'm going to say it one more time. Commander. What Doug Williams say? We the Commanders. We the Commanders. We're the Commanders, guys. Name not going nowhere. You can call us what you want, but it ain't going to change the fact that going forward until all eternity, we are now the Washington Commanders. And I need to see the guy you're looking at on the screen right now, Mr. Myles Garrett. I need to see him in burgundy and gold. I need to see him ripping that 95 off Jerzon Newton's chest like T.I. did Lauren London in ATL. Rip that shit off like a Band-Aid. Throw that 95 on Myles Garrett. And I can see it now through the crystal ball. So you can make trades now. You can agree in principle to trades. Remember, the Matt Stafford trade was done Super Bowl week, I think. The Alex Smith trade, when we traded for Alex Smith, we did that shit the week of the Super Bowl. It was the talk of the town at Radio Row that week. You can agree in principle. I think the Browns are going to hardball it, and they're going to give it some time. They need to cope. They need to cope. They need to go through the entire grief process, and then they can start the process of working this out. He's getting traded this offseason. He's getting traded. Look at the crystal ball with me real quick. Washington comes out and says, we are unveiling our fourth uniform of our set. We have the burgundy, we have the white, and we got the battle blacks. We are introducing our first throwback uniform that may be one of the normal, regular worn uniforms in the future, right? And they bring out Jayden Daniels, Terry McLaurin, and Myles fucking Garrett to model the new uniform. I was a kid when this happened, but do y'all remember when Darryl Green and them modeled the 70th anniversary uniforms? Do y'all remember it? Because I remember that shit. No, fast forward to 2025. Washington's unveiling its new throwback, potentially new future regular uniform, the fourth of the set, and they're unveiling them with our superstar hotshot quarterback, our new acquisition defensive end Myles Garrett, and our Washington lifer, old reliable Terry McLaurin. It's beautiful, man. Enjoy that picture with me, man. Visualize it in 4K, because I think we have a very good chance to acquire Myles Garrett, a very good chance. And it's not just because we're being propped up by the media, but it is nice when you go from being a butt of every joke, in the center of every headline and negative annotation for 25 years. It feels good to see the media glazing and dick eating our football team and throwing the lob to Myles Garrett every time he gets a mic in front. Hey, what about the Commanders, man? What about that guy, Jayden Daniels? Washington, what do you think about it, man? It feels good. It feels good. Welcome to the new days of Washington Commanders football, where people actually want to play for us and the media actually want stars to come to us because they want to see the show go on. They want to see us go toe-to-toe with Philly. Wasn't able to do that this year. They beat the dog shit out of us. 5 was ready. He ain't had a horses yet, though. Go get me one of the biggest horses in this league. The reigning defensive player of the year, pretty much an annual defensive player of the year candidate, and Myles Garrett. Don't overthink it. Don't convince yourself this is some Dan Snyder shit. Sit back, relax, and let the good times roll, and let Adam Peters and company cook. I think Adam Peters and company would love to be all over the Myles Garrett situation, unless the price is just too stupid. But ultimately, they got to move him if that's what he wants. They got to honor and respect this player that's been nothing but a stand-up individual throughout his tenure there, despite all the foolishness that's taken place there. And all the bullshit they put these guys through when they brought Watson's rinsed ass into that organization. Say your goodbyes, get through your grief process, and hit our line, because Death Row Records, a.k.a. Washington Commanders Brass, Adam Peters, Lance Newmark, and company, we're going to come a-calling. And when we come a-calling, if we want this guy, if we target this guy, we're going to get this guy. Myles Garrett is impartial and is warm to come in here. I can guarantee you the feeling's mutual. I've heard Jayden Daniels say the name Myles Garrett in a couple of his press conferences today. Put that full court press on, Rook. Go ahead, get you some. They don't need to know about this tampering going on in New Orleans. Start politicking, start shaking hands, kissing babies, and playing recruiter, Mr. Jayden Daniels. That is all I got for right now. Thank you, BetUS Sportsbook and Casino, for powering all videos this season. YouTube 150 is the promo code. Bring me Myles Garrett and bring him to me today. Fingers crossed. I think we got a really good shot to get this one. But that's all I got for right now. Hail to the Washington Commanders. Until next time, Commanders.